So here's everything we know about Neverness to Everness. So first things first, this game is brought to you by the Chinese studio Hata Hota Studio. You might know them as the same exact development team that brought you Tower of Fantasy. So a little mixed bag there, right? Visually, I think we all agree that Tower of Fantasy was a fantastic looking game, but it always had a little jank stank on it. You know what I'm talking about? Which at this point, I'm not really gonna hold that against them. Dude, it has been 6 years when you count the development time plus the live time of Tower of Fantasy. I am sure they've learned lots of lessons working with Unreal Engine during that time. So here's hoping that their past experience working with Unreal Engine, now working with Unreal Engine 5, they'll finally be able to get that level of refinement that we expect to match the graphics. And I already saw some groaning online when it was announced that this game was going to be running on Unreal Engine 5, but you got to keep in mind that Unreal Engine 5 is uniquely and purposely built to handle these really big open world games and being able to actually transfer that experience from PC down to mobile seamlessly. Now onto the actual game itself. NTE is this urban, futuristic, fantasy, open world game with supernatural elements. And as a person that just got spoiled playing Once Human, one of my favorite MMOs is A Secret World, one of my favorite games is Control. Dude, I am all about this new fascination with the supernatural. Now the supernatural aspect of this game is in the form of what they call anomalies. So not only I assume you'll be doing combat against these anomalies, you're also gonna have to interact with them and get this, investigate them as well. So this might be hinting to some type of gameplay where you're gonna be investigating these anomalies like a detective or something, but honestly, I just made that up. Graphically, there is so much to talk about on how good this game looks already. Like, dude, it looks so far along at this point. And a big reason why this game looks so good is because it uses Unreal Engine 5, and Unreal Engine 5 does have that nanite technology, I'm not sure if I said that right, which in short is this new way of rendering, right? And this allows the engine to render high polygon counts like effortlessly. And even though we have this gameplay trailer, we have no real idea on how the game is gonna play and how it feels. Like when I first saw Tower of Fantasy, dude, I was hyped, but once I actually played it and like felt it, it didn't feel tight. Another game that I can give an example of is Duet Night Abyss. Once again, graphically looks fantastic, but once you actually like interact with the combat, weapon attacks, the feeling of viscerality, all that good stuff, all of that really combines to make combat really feel impactful, and we just don't know that until we actually get our hands on it. So we gotta wait to see how we really feel about combat. Obviously, the game's gonna have a main story, that's pretty much a given, but outside of the main story, the game of course is gonna have character stories, side stories, the ability to modify and race sports cars, bro, what? And people have already started to speculate saying that this might be anime gacha meets Grand Theft Auto Online, which low-key I really wouldn't be surprised, because when you look at Tower of Fantasy, unlike other open world mobile gacha games, Tower of Fantasy's open world content actually includes other real life players running around doing stuff. So I could absolutely see this game scratching a Grand Theft Auto Online itch in the future. You'll also be able to buy and design houses, and I'm not really sure if that's like a translation error, because designing a house and like decorating a house is totally different. So I'm not really sure on that, more to come with that. And if modifying and racing cars and designing houses wasn't enough, dude, you can be a small business owner and manage your own business as well. What? So maybe we'll see a more fleshed out version of ZZZ's video story, you never know. And finally, according to the developers, they say that this game will emphasize a vibrant urban life with a focus on player choice and freedom. Fully confirmed for PC, iOS, and Android. No final word on a console release just yet, but I'm thinking more than likely though. And of course, monetization wise, obviously this is gonna be a free-to-play game with most likely some gacha elements, right? So that's everything I know based on what I've read, plus the press kit that they sent me in my email. But I wanted to go a step further, so I went to China online. And the overall vibe in China, based on what I was able to translate, is that of course, no surprise, they're comparing this game to Genshin Impact, but the anticipation for this game is sky high, and many of them are considering that this might be the next big game in mobile gaming. And side note, I do find it interesting that even though this game is on PC, it's probably gonna be on console, it's still considered a mobile game. Like I totally get it, but I still find it interesting that these games, just because they have a gacha element, are always considered mobile games, or never considered like a PC or console game, you know what I mean? Another thing that I translated from the Chinese players is that they assume that this game will have an active day and night cycle, which are going to impact where certain anomalies are found, and maybe even a karma system based on how you interact with them. But definitely consider those Chinese players honorary FGs, because they just made that stuff up too. So yeah, that's what we know about the game so far. A beautiful looking game that I'm hoping plays and feels as solid as it looks. This is definitely my favorite type of world setting, like this urban futuristic fantasy type. These anomalies, which appear to be a rather large aspect of the gameplay that I really hope are actually going to be fleshed out. And hopefully, and most importantly for me, I'll actually be able to share this open world with other players. Like, dude, I want to like see people running around town and stuff like this. What is the point of having these big open worlds if you're in there by your lonesome? But in short, I am really looking forward to this game because when you think about it, the Tower of Fantasy team, right? They are gonna be the very first gaming studio to put out their second generation open world mobile game. So I'm definitely looking forward to seeing what they come up with.